So we had seen in the fourth chapter, heat, that we have a sea breeze and we have a land breeze. We also knew the reason behind it. So we are discussing almost a similar thing here. So as seen in this picture, we have the airflow into different seasons of our country. We usually have summer and winter. So what happens during summer is the land gets heated with an immense high temperature all over India. As you know, we have temperature rising around 40 degrees, 45 degrees, even 50 degrees in places like Ahmedabad, Madhya Pradesh. But as compared to the land, the water is a poor conductor of heat. Because of this reason, the water does not get heated to that extent as compared to the land. So what happens is the air on the water is cooler as compared to the air on land. If the air on land is more hot, we know that it expands. When it expands, the air becomes lighter. Hence it has low pressure as compared to the air on the water, that is sea. So the air starts to blow from the sea towards the land. When this air blows from the sea towards the land, since water is residing over the sea portion, the wind that is carried because of from the sea towards land, it carries some moisture in the air. It has some water droplets in the air. This air is humid, and this air we call it as a monsoon winds. Why? Well, we call it monsoon wind because it is the same winds which will eventually bring us rain. We all like rain. વરસાદ આપણને બધાને ગમે, right? So the actual reason of rain is because the moist air is coming from the sea towards the land. It creates rain. A similar, totally opposite thing happens in the winter. In winter, what happens is similar to this phenomenon. There is air moving from high pressure to low pressure, but in a different direction. Winter માં શું થાય? જે land છે, that gets more cooler as compared to the water. अगर पाણીને ગરમ થવામાં વાર લાગે તો પાણીને ઠંડા થવામાં બી વાર લાગે. So because of the same reason, the land area gets more cooler as compared to the water area. So during winters, the water in the sea will be a bit warmer as compared to the land. Hence there will be a different direction of flow. But land માં તો moisture હોય જ નહીં. There is no moisture in the land. So the wind that is blowing from land towards the sea will be dry, and we might have experienced the same thing. આપણે વિન્ટરમાં સ્પેશિયલી ગુજરાત એરિયામાં શું થાય, આપણી સ્કિન ફાટી જાય. We used to have some lotion, cold cream, Vaseline. We have to use such creams. Why? Because the air which is moving is very dry. एकदम dry હોય છે. So આપણી સ્કિનને एकदम dry કરી દે. But during the summer season, the wind is having some moisture. It is having some humidity. Hence that air is not dry. So we do not get our dry hands or dry face during our summer. Okay, moving ahead. During the summer, when the wind is blowing from the land portion, as you can see in this image, as we mentioned, it carries water droplets, which creates humidity in the atmosphere. A water droplets, they get raised, and then there they get freezed. The water vapor છે, they move from sea towards the land. Why sea? Because it has a high pressure there during summer. On the land we have a low pressure, so wind moves from high pressure to low pressure. But again, land sometimes is higher as compared to the sea level. So the wind that is blowing takes the water droplets upside in the air. The water droplets છે જે ઉપર જતા જાય છે, ઉપર એટલે કે આકાશમાં, where they form clouds, reaching at a certain point, they get freezed. જે water vapor હતી, આપણી વરાળ છે પાણીની, which is produced because of heating of water, they rise in the sky, form clouds, and there they stop. ત્યાં આગળ the temperature there is much colder as compared to the temperature on land. So this water vapor forms water droplets in the atmosphere, and they are in the form of clouds. and then the shower on the land in form of rain. We all know this phenomenon, and as we said, we all like rains. It આપણા atmosphere જરાક coolness enter કરે દે. We like this feeling of coolness, but what happens if we have extreme amount of rain? That is dangerous. So we have such two situations in our country usually. We call it thunderstorms and cyclones. So let us study each of them in detail. So what is a thunderstorm? Thunderstorm શું છે? So on a monsoon night or monsoon day, you might have observed that when the cloud starts to form, we used to tell that boss આજે વરસાદ ગજબનો આવવાનો, right? So what happens is there are a lot of lightnings, there are a lot of strong winds blowing, and we can feel that atmosphere કે યાર આજે વરસાદ એકદમ તૂટી પડવાનો છે. That is nothing but thunderstorm, and which is very common across India because during the summer we have an entire coastal line on the western side of our country, right? આપણે જે countryની west side છે, this side we have a coastal line here, we have a Arabian Sea here, Indian Ocean on the south. So during summer the winds are blowing from this ocean. These get rises in the air and they form water droplets there, and when they are frozen they shower down in the form of rain. During this event, if there is lightning or strong winds, આપણે ક્યારેક વીજળીના કડાકા ભડાકા આવે છે, right? કડાક જોરથી એકદમ અવાજ આવે. So this is nothing but a thunderstorm. But how does this thunderstorm get converted into cyclone? So let's see. So this is a pictorial representation of a cyclone. The diagram looks complex, but let us try to understand it. It is a very simple diagram. આપણે જોઈએ કઈ રીતે આપણે સમજીએ. So શું થાય? When a cloud is formed, before a cloud is formed, what we have is a water vapor. જ્યારે દરિયાનું પાણી heat થાય છે, so it gets converted into water vapor. So we can say that during the creation of water vapor, the heat in the environment was taken up. જે પાણી હતું, when we add heat to it, the liquid, it gets converted into water vapor. Right? We all know that જે આપણે normal પાણીને આપણે boil કરીએ, we get water vapor. So we can say that during the formation of water vapor, the heat from the environment was taken. Now when this water vapor gets raised in the air, જ્યારે water vapor ધીરે ધીરે હવામાં જતી રહે, what happens is this water vapor gets again converted into water droplets. જ્યારે ઉપર જાય, and where the atmosphere temperature is very low there, it gets converted into water droplets. But during this phenomenon of conversion from water vapor to water liquid, જે gas form માં water હતું in the form of water vapor, એમાંથી જ્યારે liquid form માં થયું, heat is released in the atmosphere. Try to understand this. This is almost a reverse process. Liquid માં હું ગરમી add કરું તો we get water vapor. But water vapor માંથી મારે liquid માં પાછું આવવું પડે તો શું થાય? મારે heat release કરવી પડે. Water vapor ની જે heat છે એને અગર હું atmosphere માં release કરી દઉં તો જ એ liquid માં પાછું બનશે. But a similar thing happens there up in the sky. જ્યારે water vapor form થઈ ગયેલી છે, and when it gets converted into liquid, so we can say that since there is a process which converts water vapor into liquid, heat must be released. Heat absorb નહીં થઈ હોય, but heat શું થઈ ગઈ છે? It must be released there. હવે અગર heat release થાય બહાર એરમાં, so what happens is the air is heated. If the air is heated, what happens? The air gets lighter. If the air gets lighter, what happens? Air moves upwards. If the air moves upwards, શું થશે? એની આજુબાજુની જે હવા છે, which is bit colder, it will take up its place. જે જગ્યાએથી હવા ઉપર ચડી ગઈ, એની પ્લેસ કોણ લેશે? જે નવી ઠંડી હવા છે લેશે. હવે નવી ઠંડી હવા લેશે તો પાછું એનું શું થશે? Again it will get heated, again it will rise, again જે બાજુની ઠંડી હવા છે again એની પ્લેસ લઈ લેશે. This cycle keeps on happening. Hence we have a cycle on. The cyclone name was derived using cycle on. Our same cycle on and on જ રહે છે. Hence we call this cyclone. So let us understand this in this image. So what happens is on the top, જ્યારે હવા જ્યારે water vapor gets converted into water liquid, એટલે કે normal water માં convert થાય, તો આજુબાજુની જે હવા છે, it gets heated because this releases heat. So when this heat is released, this air starts to move towards up. આ air આજુબાજુમાં upperની side જવાનું ચાલુ કરશે. Something like this. As a black arrows છે, it shows the same thing. But when the air moves up, any space કોણ લઈ લેશે? તો કે જે આજુબાજુની નવી ઠંડી હવા છે એ લેશે. So if you can see this arrow which keeps on going from here to here, again here to here in a cyclic manner, એટલે હવા છે એ ધીરે ધીરે ઉપર ચડતી જશે. Because of this process, a cyclone is formed. And this place where all this happens is a very calm place. આ જે અંદરનો પોર્શન છે જે અત્યારે સ્ક્રીન પર હાઇલાઇટેડ છે, that is a very calm place of the cyclone. અહીંયા કોઈ હવાનો મૂવમેન્ટ નથી. હવાનો મૂવમેન્ટ ક્યાં છે? એના સરાઉન્ડિંગમાં છે. આ પોઈન્ટ પર there is no exchange of air, and this portion is called the eye of cyclone. So we have another image here. આ એકદમ એરિયલ વ્યૂ છે. આ વ્યૂ કયો છે? સાઈડ વ્યૂ છે. હું નીચેથી એક માણસ અહીંયા આગળ ઊભો હશે, અહીંયા એક માણસ ઊભો હશે તો એને સાયક્લોન આવું દેખાશે. બટ જે સેટેલાઇટ ઇમેજ હોય એ કેવું દેખાશે પિક્ચરનો? સો યુ કેન સી હિયર this dark portion is nothing but the eye of a cyclone, and as you can see on the surrounding, the air is moving from here to here, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Based on the air pressure, based on the movement of cyclone, there will be air surrounding the eye of the cyclone. So this is how a cyclone is formed. And the formation of cyclone again gets more complex based on the factors like wind, wind direction, wind speed કેટલી છે, the temperature, the pressure around in the atmosphere. આ બધા ફેક્ટરમાં કન્સિડર થઈને a cyclone is formed. And you might have heard this term that wherever there is cyclone, આપણે ન્યૂઝ ચેનલ અગર ચાલુ કરીશું during the time of cyclones, we might have seen that the news anchors will be saying અહીંયા low pressure થઈ ગયું, બંગાળની ખાડીમાં low pressure, Arabian Sea માં low pressure. So why there is low pressure? Now we know. We had discussed an important point of wind, that wherever there is a high speed wind, it will be accompanied by low pressure. Hence we can say that during cyclones it forms a low pressure system, and hence there are high speeds of wind. So this was all about the cyclones, but the cyclones create very disruptive things in our atmosphere. આપણે બધા જાણીએ છીએ જ્યારે cyclones આવે ત્યારે શું થાય છે? We might have seen certain house that are not very concrete, એકદમ સિમેન્ટ કોન્ક્રીટથી નથી બનેલા. એ લોકો ઉપર શું મૂકે છે? roofs મૂકે છે. So we might have seen news વાળા જે videos ઉતારતા એ લોકો શું બતાવે કે આખા roofs ઉખડી ગયા. How does this happen? Because when the winds are moving at very high pressure, રૂફની ઉપરનો ભાગ છે કે જ્યાંથી વિન્ડ એકદમ હાઈ પ્રેશરથી પાસ થાય, હાઈ સ્પીડથી પાસ થાય છે, what happens is એનું જે પ્રેશર છે, એર પ્રેશર gets low. We know that એકદમ હાઈ સ્પીડથી વિન્ડ પાસ થશે તો પ્રેશર કેવું થઈ જશે? લો. આપણું જે પેલું બોટલ વાળું એક્ઝામ્પલ હતું કે બોટલના માઉથમાં I was blowing the air, so what is happening there? Pressure was very low, so અંદરની સાઈડથી એર ઉલટાની બહાર આવવા માંડી. So a similar thing happens. ઘરની અંદરનું એર પ્રેશર is high as compared to the outer pressure, so roofs મારું આખું ઉખડી જશે. So this is just an example of a destructive nature of cyclones, and it causes a lot of other destructive things. So let us see what are there.